The movie begins with a disturbing moment. A tiny mouse is trapped inside a glass jar. A man reaches in, lifts it out, and suddenly decapitates it. The scene cuts to Blackwood Pharmaceuticals, where a pre-recorded video explains how the company conducts strict testing before releasing any drug. This stage is known as Phase 1, where healthy volunteers receive the medication to assess its safety. Shortly after, a young woman named Claire arrives as one of the volunteers. She's shown to her room, which she'll share with 2 other participants. One of them, Allison, immediately starts talking. Overly cheerful and excessively chatty. Already irritated, Claire ignores her and lies down. Later, all the volunteers gather in a large hall that has no mobile signal. That's when Dr. Burke steps in, announcing she'll supervise a 5-day safety trial for a new drug. Everyone present will take it, with the dosage increasing each day, and no one can leave until it's over. They receive their first dose and swallow it without hesitation. During lunch, Claire finds out that several of the volunteers have participated in trials before. They're young, healthy, and in need of money. Vanessa, however, keeps to herself, quiet and withdrawn. The day passes with non-stop medical examinations, leaving everyone exhausted. Claire tries to sleep, but Allison's endless chatter keeps her awake. Eventually, side effects hit, and Claire rushes to the bathroom to vomit. There she meets Amir, another volunteer. He's a medical student, not there for the cash, but hoping this trial will help him secure a future internship at Blackwood. That night, Claire still can't sleep. She realizes both of her roommates' beds are empty. Feeling uneasy, she walks to the common room and discovers all 6 volunteers awake. None of them have been able to sleep, and they're certain the drug is causing it. By morning, Dr. Burke examines them, but dismisses their concerns, calling it mild insomnia. But soon, more than 30 hours pass, and no one has slept. The group spends all their time in the hall, trying to distract themselves with conversation and games. Behind closed doors, Dr. Burke informs her superiors that the drug may be causing dangerous brain inflammation. She begs them to stop the trial, but they refuse. Instead, the experiment shifts into darker territory. Dr. Burke returns to the volunteers and states that the trial's objective has changed. Now they'll be testing how long people can last without sleep. This alarms Amir, who confronts her, but she dismisses him coldly. The following morning, she announces an increased dose. The volunteers resist. They are already terrified for their health and refuse to continue. Dr. Burke then tempts them with an offer. Anyone who stays until the end will earn an extra 30,000 euros. That night, the group blasts music and dances, trying to celebrate the promise of 30,000 euros, but their exhaustion cuts the moment short. Within minutes, fatigue overwhelms them, and yawns fill the room. Seeing their state, Dr. Burke again pleads with her superiors to end the trial, but they only demand she raise the dosage further, consumed by greed. Meanwhile, the volunteers talk about what they'll do with the money. Allison, still cheerful, suggests they all remain friends after the trial. Claire snaps at her, asking whether she even has real friends. Hurt, Allison walks off. Elsewhere, Amir overhears Dr. Burke arguing with her superiors. After she leaves, he sneaks onto her computer and discovers something horrifying. Every participant is suffering from critical brain inflammation. Understanding the magnitude of the cover-up, he downloads the files, hoping to expose Blackwood once they escape. Back in the hall, Claire sees Allison sitting alone. Feeling guilty, she approaches to apologize. But before she can speak, Allison suddenly collapses into violent seizures. Within moments, she dies. Dr. Burke rushes in, horrified, but before the volunteers can process what happened, an alarm blares through the facility. A 30-second countdown begins. The building is entering lockdown. Dr. Burke sprints to the exit, but the doors close on her, trapping and crushing her. The others try to pull her free, but they're too late. With her dying breath, she whispers, "I'm sorry." The clock resets to a new countdown. 24 hours. No one can leave until it ends. Amir reveals what he discovered. If anyone falls asleep, even for a second, they will die instantly. The inflammation in their brains is now fatal. Panic erupts. One volunteer nearly attacks Amir, but he calms them, insisting that if they stay awake for the next 24 hours, they can still be treated. When asked who triggered the lockdown, Amir says he isn't sure, but thinks Dr. Burke may have done it to protect them. He hands each person 5 pouches of smelling salts, their only tool to stay awake, and warns them not to touch coffee or stimulants, which would worsen the brain damage. The group fights desperately to remain conscious. It's already been over 4 days without sleep. Some do push-ups. Others record vlogs hoping to go viral if they survive. Amir scans Claire's brain and is terrified by what he sees, though he keeps it to himself. Participants begin to falter. Rai burns through all his smelling salts and begs the others for help, but no one offers any support. Even the usually silent Vanessa yells at him to be quiet. Meanwhile, Amir works in the lab, trying to create a cure, except, in reality, he's hallucinating. Claire later stares blankly at a wall, nearly dozing off, but Marcus shakes her awake. He seems to be coping better than the others, constantly exercising to stay alert. But later in the bathroom, something strange happens. Marcus whistles, and someone whistles back, though he's alone. He turns on the tap. No sound comes out. When he turns it off, the sound finally appears, delayed. He taps the mirror. The sound echoes seconds later. Terrified, he stumbles into the hallway, where the whistling returns, luring him down an empty corridor. He sees what looks like the front door opening. Entranced, he steps forward into darkness. The others find him dead moments later. The hallucination tricked him into falling asleep. The group is devastated but has no time to grieve. Claire takes charge. With 15 hours remaining, doing nothing means death. They map the facility and identify a wall as a weak point. They take turns striking it with an axe, hoping to escape. Eventually they break through, only to find a thick metal barrier behind it, reinforced and impossible to penetrate. Hope collapses instantly, but Claire refuses to give up. She finds Amir in the lab, shaken. When she asks what's wrong, he hands her a letter, a confession. He was the one who triggered the lockdown. When he copied Blackwood's secret files, the security system locked the facility automatically. Burdened by guilt, he wants to give up, even considering letting himself fall asleep. Claire stops him. What's done is done, and they need him alive. Inspired by her resolve, Amir proposes a dangerous idea, mixing certain chemicals to induce temporary brain death, which might counter the drug's effects. It's a desperate gamble, but it could work. Claire tells the others, but not everyone agrees. Paul steps forward, holding an empty stimulant bottle he found among Amir's things, the same type Amir told them to avoid. They now believe Amir is secretly working with Blackwood and using the pills to stay awake. Tension erupts. The group, all except Claire, storms into the lab and restrains Amir. Rai grows violent, grabbing a knife and demanding answers. Claire shouts over everyone, insisting Amir has a cure, but the others think it's another trap. Claire boldly offers to take the injection herself to prove his intentions. Reluctantly, they agree. Under Amir's instructions, they begin preparing the formula. As everyone focuses on the task, Vanessa quietly pulls Rai aside and reveals she found a sedative to use on Amir if needed. Meanwhile, Paul finishes mixing the cure. Vanessa creeps toward Amir with the sedative, but before she can act, she collapses. Her consciousness drifts above her body as the others rush to help. Shadows engulf her. Smoke surrounds her. She sees a demonic figure, the devil, and screams. Her physical body begins to convulse, blood pouring from her. Paul tries to grab the cure, but in the chaos, Vanessa's body knocks it away. The needle shatters. Paul stumbles into the table, and the jar with the rest of the formula crashes to the floor. Everything is lost. Amir can only laugh hysterically as their last hope disappears. After Vanessa's death and the destruction of the cure, Claire goes to check the countdown, but her body is failing. She hallucinates the words "good night" on the screen. A lullaby fills her ears, her mother's voice. She drifts toward darkness, slipping toward death. At the last moment, she grabs a pouch of smelling salts and inhales, snapping back to reality. She steadies herself against a wall and realizes it sounds hollow. Hope flickers again. Claire calls Paul to help, and together they break through a hidden section, revealing an autopsy room. Inside is an elevator used to remove bodies from the facility. Claire wants to tell the others, but Paul stops her. He says the others have lost their minds and insists they escape alone. Meanwhile, Amir spirals deeper into hallucination, seeing a zombified Dr. Burke, who whispers murderous encouragement. When Rai enters the room and confronts him with the confession letter, Rai lunges with a scalpel. Amir breaks free, and Rai accidentally slashes his own neck. Now unhinged, Amir grabs a knife and repeatedly stabs Rai, killing him. Claire and Paul arrive moments later to find Rai dead and Amir deranged. He chases them. They split up. Paul reaches the autopsy room, locks the door, and abandons Claire. He steps into the elevator, filming a video claiming to be the lone survivor. But the elevator is actually an incinerator. The doors seal, and Paul realizes too late. His screams echo as flames engulf him. Elsewhere, Claire and Amir collapse, barely conscious. Their bodies are shutting down. Then suddenly, click, the lockdown ends. The exit door opens. Amir drags himself toward freedom, but as soon as he steps outside, armed men shoot him on sight. Claire hears the gunfire and wakes, realizing the company is eliminating all evidence, including survivors. She hides. She finds the bodies of the volunteers zipped into body bags. Smearing blood on herself, she crawls into an empty one. The men load the bags into a van and drive off with Claire inside. When she finally moves, the driver sees her in the rearview mirror, panics, and crashes. Claire forces the back door open and crawls out, but her body gives out and she collapses. Cut to months later. Claire lies in a hospital bed in a coma. Claire's eyes suddenly open, and the movie ends.